The National News Desk, locally covered, nationally connected.
That was a meeting of love. Let me tell you, that was love in that room.
President Donald Trump at the Capitol to sell his vision for a national budget. But can the Republicans come together to pass a controversial bill with their slim majority?
One arrest has been made, and we are continuing to pursue everyone involved. And that investigation is active and ongoing.
One worker at a New Orleans jail is in custody. The reason he gives for assisting with helping 11 inmates escape from the prison. And hundreds arrested in a sex trafficking sting, including a former NFL player, inside the raid that made it all happen. This is the National News Desk, America's News Now. Good evening, and thank you for being with us. I'm Dee Dee Gatton, and we begin tonight right here with an enhanced weather warning with at least 37 million under threat tonight for severe storms. Tornado watches in effect right now for parts of Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia, and West Virginia right there until at least 8 tonight. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration also warning isolated tennis ball-sized hail is possible in these areas. Stay with us as we continue to track developments on these storms throughout the evening. We'll have coverage for you both on air and online with the latest updates at thenationaldesk.com. President Donald Trump was on Capitol Hill this morning to personally lobby for a budget bill filled with his domestic priorities. He had one big message for his so-called big beautiful bill, that Republicans on the fence better fall in line to pass it. National correspondent Matt Gelka has the details.
This is really just a pep talk.
President Donald Trump on Capitol Hill trying to rally Republicans around the big beautiful bill, a budget resolution packed with his domestic priorities, including border money, tax cuts, and defense spending increases. Republicans haven't put up a united front on the bill. Potential Medicaid cuts have been a significant roadblock, along with work requirements for the program that could be phased in within 2 years.
Here's what I want on Medicaid. We're not touching anything. All I want is one thing, 3 words. We don't want any waste, fraud, or abuse. Very simple. Waste, fraud, abuse. Other than that, we're leaving it. Medicare, we're leaving it.
Trump singled out Kentucky Republican Thomas Massie while making it clear how he feels about members of the party who are not on board.
I don't think Thomas Massie understands government. I think he's a grandstander, frankly. He'll probably vote. We don't even talk to him much. I think he should be voted out of office.
Massie has consistently voted no on budget bills he doesn't feel cut enough spending. He's still a no vote on the current bill and spoke about being typically a lone Republican dissenter on Full Measure with Cheryl Atkinson this past weekend.
He's called me a grandstander again, but this time he didn't qualify as third rate, so I think I'm moving up in the world. But what people know about me is if you attack me, I'm probably going to dig in.
Trump reportedly made a hard sell to the Republican conference, telling different factions of the party to drop their opposition. Democrats have honed in on the potential Medicaid cuts.
I don't think the president has read the bill. He specifically said, don't F around with Medicaid. The bulk of their bill messes around with Medicaid.
House Speaker Mike Johnson previously said he wanted to get something passed by Memorial Day.
I'm going to just end it here and tell you that failure is simply not an option.
We'll find out over the next few days if the president played the role of closer and was able to get the conference aligned. Reporting in Washington, I'm Matt Gelka for the National News Desk, America's News Now.
The New Orleans manhunt continues as 6 inmates are still on the loose. Last night, a fourth fugitive, 21-year-old Gary Price, was found in the city. According to court documents, he was being held without bond on a first-degree murder charge awaiting court proceedings. He now faces additional charges. A maintenance worker has now been charged for assisting the breakout. He's accused of shutting off the water to a toilet, covering a hole in the wall. In the arrest affidavit, he says he was threatened by one of the inmates, saying he would be shanked if he didn't turn off the water. We are learning more about Guy Abartkas, the suspect in custody in the deadly car bombing at a fertility center in Palm Springs, California last Friday. Law enforcement now saying Bartkas had many social media accounts where he has posted images and videos of homemade incendiary devices. They say he may have left messages of his plans as well, going back at least 6 years. Bartkas was found dead inside the vehicle that exploded. 4 others were hurt in the blast, but they have all been released from the hospital. And new developments, a New Jersey Congresswoman has now been federally charged for her role outside an ICE detention facility. The chaotic scene captured right here as the divide between the Democrats and the president over immigration policy, it grows. National correspondent Christine Frizzell has more.
This was the scene outside of an ICE detention facility in Newark, New Jersey on May 9th.
You're not pushing me.
Congresswoman LaMonica McIver, seen in the red jacket, is now facing criminal charges for her role. New Jersey U.S. Attorney Alina Habba saying she assaulted, impeded, and interfered with law enforcement. As McIver insists, she was conducting oversight.
The reason why we were there is because we wanted to make sure this facility was up to par, that it was clean, that it was safe, and that the detainees there were, given due process.
White House Border Czar Tom Homan disagrees.
They pushed her way through the barrier. They put hands on an officer. It's unacceptable. So, she's being prosecuted, and the same people who said for 4 years, no one's above the law. President Trump's not above the law. Well, either are they.
The White House is also celebrating a win on immigration policy. The Supreme Court for now is allowing the Trump administration to remove temporary protected status from 350,000 Venezuelans who came here under a program known as CHNV, in which the Biden administration flew about 30,000 people a month to the United States from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela.
Since we created the new program, the number of Venezuelans trying to enter America without going through a legal process has dropped dramatically.
Supporters of the program cited violence, poverty, and corruption in their home countries, and now argue they should be able to remain here for the duration of their 2-year terms, a sentiment not shared by the Trump administration.
Temporary protector status means temporary protector status. There are millions of people right now waiting in line, taking their tests, doing their background investigations, paying their fees to come to the greatest nation on earth.
Temporary protected status was also just terminated for those from Afghanistan, with more changes expected. I'm Christine Frizzell for the National News Desk.
Sodas and energy drinks are no longer available in Nebraska for people using food stamps. State authorities on Monday announced the decision to remove the items from the SNAP program, which helps low-income people pay for groceries. The state's governor says SNAP should focus on helping families get healthy food into their diet. About 152,000 Nebraskans are enrolled in the SNAP program. SNAP provided support to 41 million people in the U.S. in 2024. In Washington, D.C., a mansion-style home in the northwest part of the city burst into flames for the second day in a row. This is what it looked like this morning as firefighters tried to control the fire that burned on all 3 floors of the home. A fire initially broke out last night. That fire was believed to be under control by 10 p.m.
The fire started on the right side by the kitchen, and some flames in the kitchen. The fire trucks came, and we thought they contained the fire.
It's unknown if today's fire was a separate fire or if something rekindled from last night. This morning, a firefighter did fall through an elevator shaft but suffered no injuries. No other injuries have been reported. The high-profile sex trafficking case of rapper Sean Diddy Combs continued in New York today. The prosecution called multiple witnesses, including a male escort, who spoke about some of the sexual encounters laid out by Cassie Ventura last week. The jury also heard from the first law official called to testify. Homeland Security Special Agent Gerard Gannon spoke about weapons confiscated from Diddy's home, as well as the sex toys and excessive amounts of baby oil taken. He will continue his testimony tomorrow before the defense can cross-examine him. Coming up, a heated battle as Secretary of State Marco Rubio faces his former colleagues in the Senate. And a sex trafficking ring broken, and Spotlight on America was along for the ride. We go inside that mission that saw 250 people arrested, and then later school budget shortfalls, $30 million in the red. How the schools in this state are making it work.
have to tell you directly and personally that I regret voting for you for Secretary of State. I yield back.
May I respond?
You may, sir.
Well, first of all, your regret for voting for me confirms I'm doing a good job.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio in a contentious hearing today in the Senate as he stood up for the actions of the State Department against Democrat objections. The secretary defended the cuts at the department, especially for ending USAID. He stood by the policy to revoke student visas from those he says were associated with violent protests on college campuses and pushed back on the claim that the administration is not complying with federal court orders in respect to mass deportations.
There is a division in our government between the federal branch and the judicial branch. No judge in the judicial branch cannot tell me or the president how to conduct foreign policy. No judge can tell me how I have to outreach to a foreign partner or what I need to say to them. And if I do reach to that foreign partner and talk to them, I have under no obligation to share that with the judiciary branch.
Developing now, a live look over the city of Chicago this afternoon, where the mayor is in the DEI bullseye as the White House's latest target in their quest to eradicate diversity, equity, and inclusion. National correspondent Kayla Gaskins joins us from Washington.
When you hire our people, we always look out for everybody else.
The Justice Department opening an investigation into the city of Chicago to find out if Mayor Brandon Johnson or others engaged in a pattern or practice of racial discrimination with their hiring practices. The DOJ taking action after Mayor Johnson highlighted all the black people hired by the city while speaking at a church this past Sunday.
The deputy mayor is a black woman. Department of Planning and Development is a black woman. Infrastructure deputy mayor is a black woman. Chief Operations Officer is a black man.
Johnson addressed the investigation on Tuesday.
My administration reflects the country, reflects the city. His administration reflects the country club.
We spoke about the issue with White House senior policy strategist May Mailman.
It appears as though the mayor is hiring on the basis not of who's going to improve the schools, not on who's going to be the most efficient for the taxpayer, but based on race.
In a related move, on Monday, the Justice Department announced the creation of a new unit called the Civil Rights Fraud Initiative, dedicated to cracking down on DEI policies at federally funded universities.
It turns up the heat on these major elite universities in this country, Harvard in particular. DOJ over the last several weeks, each week has almost brought out a new initiative against Harvard.
Last week, the DOJ opened an investigation into Harvard's admission policies over concerns of race-based discrimination. Harvard has fought back against the administration's meddling in operations, arguing the White House is attempting to infringe on their academic freedom.
We've got two legal titans fighting it out. These are very serious. They continue to turn up the heat. And this is going to play out for months and years to come.
The DOJ launched a similar investigation into Stanford University and the University of California back in March. White House senior policy strategist May Mailman tells me she believes tackling DEI will be a legacy issue for President Trump. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins, reporting for the National News Desk, America's News Now.
The Trump administration is changing the requirements for COVID-19 vaccine approval. Under the shift, any new COVID vaccines for healthy, younger adults and children will have to undergo randomized controlled trials. The study will need to show clinical outcomes before receiving approval from the Food and Drug Administration. Officials say shots for adults 65 and older and people with certain underlying health conditions will continue to be approved based on antibody testing. Vaccines are expected to be available for that group in the fall. And at least 26 people have gotten sick in a Salmonella outbreak linked to cucumbers across at least 15 states. The cucumbers are grown by Beater Growers Incorporated and distributed by Fresh Start Produce Sales Incorporated out of Florida. Multiple states are impacted, but the FDA did not say where the vegetables were sold. Looking ahead, millions of Americans are expected to get away for Memorial Day weekend. According to AAA, a little over 45 million people will travel between this Thursday and next Monday. Look at the prices there. That's an increase of 1.4 travelers in comparison to last year. About 4 million will travel by air, while 2 million will travel by bus, train, or cruise. The Auto Club organization predicts the vast majority will hit the road, with about 39 million people driving to their destination. For those on the road, these gas prices remain mostly steady already in the last day, up slightly since last week and 1 month ago. This is according to AAA national averages. But compared to a year ago, prices are down about 35 to 40 cents per gallon. A Spotlight on America exclusive tonight. Our investigative team was given rare access to follow law enforcement in action as they targeted human sex trafficking. More than 250 people were arrested in this operation. And national investigative correspondent Angie Moreski was there to show us how it all went down.
Can you show yourself? This exclusive surveillance video shows an undercover detective posing as a customer with a suspected prostitute who just arrived at his hotel room. Oh. Hidden cameras capture it all as a Polk County Sheriff's supervisor watches every move from another room across the hall, signaling to the takedown team ready and waiting to go in for the arrest. I knew it. The suspect is bound with zip ties and quickly taken to another room to be processed, where we talked with her. How did you end up here?
I'm just being perfectly honest. Life is life. Bills don't stop. I have kids to feed. I have bills to pay.
We got confirmation of an exchange deal.
Lieutenant Bobby Kirkpatrick is the operation commander.
All right, move in, take him down.
Who oversees every detail of the 9-day mission. Before your guys go in there to arrest, they have to close the deal.
That is correct. Some type of discussion, agreement, sex act, and something of monetary value.
She's out on the second floor.
But he says it's about more than prostitution.
Omaha.
Their main goal is to fight human sex trafficking. How big of a problem is human trafficking?
It's a huge problem. It's a huge problem all over the United States.
Sheriff, here we are in the takedown room.
Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd is the driving force behind the operation.
Welcome to Polk County.
Under his watch, they've conducted major stings like this for the past 15 years.
No one has the right to traffic another human being. No one has the right to treat a human being like their property.
Human sex trafficking is described as a form of modern-day slavery, with an estimated 100 to 150,000 victims nationwide. The highest number of cases reported in California, Texas, and Florida.
Are you from? You?
At least 4 potential human trafficking victims were identified during the sting, including this woman who left her 4-year-old child in the car with a suspected trafficker, also arrested. Judd says many victims are undocumented immigrants. Why is it important to do this?
And believe it or not, we rescue a lot of people with these human trafficking operations.
He's on the second floor now walking.
We've been here for about an hour now on day 6 of the sting. We've already seen 3 takedowns, and they're teeing up for yet another one. The arrests come fast as the hour gets later, with both alleged customers and suspected prostitutes caught. A total of 255 people were arrested. Among the most notable arrested, this former NFL player with Carolina and Tampa Bay, Adarius Taylor, who officials say left his 6-year-old autistic son in the car. Nothing to say? He buried his head when we tried to talk with him.
Very cute. Where are you from?
An Orlando doctor who playfully chatted,
There you go.
quickly handing over his money. And perhaps most shocking, Regional Director for the American Red Cross, Eric Corliss, charged not only with soliciting a prostitute, but also child sex crime-related offenses.
All right, let's go.
All of the suspects were taken down a back stairwell to avoid detection.
It's the last one.
And shuttled off to jail. For Spotlight on America, I'm Angie Moreski.
Coming up, protecting kids online, what one state is proposing to do to keep minors safe as they surf the web. of reporters all across the country in your neighborhoods covering issues that matter to you. We're taking the pulse of America, and we start in Washington, D.C., where residents are being terrorized by juvenile crime.
Normal Friday night errands turned into terror for some Navy Yard residents. Luke Johnson was leaving CVS.
It was a lot. A lot of kids were coming.
Navy Yard Commissioner Edward Daniels was walking home from the grocery store.
So we're not just talking about typical juvenile behavior. These are kids that are terrorizing their own neighborhoods, or kids that are terrorizing our city that don't even live here.
Hundreds of teens took over Navy Yard for the second time in 3 weeks. MPD confirmed the teens robbed 2 victims. One had to be taken to the hospital. Community members say the district and MPD need to get a grip on the situation before some actions can't be reversed.
Some political leaders are part of the problem in that they also perpetuate the excuses for the behavior as opposed to legitimate and real-time accountability and consequences for the behavior.
In Tacoma, as the final month of the school year wraps up,
how are these kids going to be supported next year?
Concerns are growing about next school year.
The district is saying they have a $30 million deficit, and so they're busy cutting positions to try to make their budget work.
Facing a $30 million budget shortfall, Tacoma Public Schools say they have to make the painstaking decision to eliminate 105 first and second year teachers, 118 educational support staff, and 30 office professionals in the upcoming school year. In a statement, Tacoma Public Schools say, quote, the changes are part of the reductions made to address our $30 million shortfall, are on top of the $40 million in cuts made last year to reach a balanced budget. When we are forced to make position cuts, our primary goal is to minimize the impact on the classroom environment to the best of our ability. Even as the district attempts to minimize the impact of these cuts, some say it's inevitable.
Every school will see a difference in their staffing.
With the tap of a screen, anyone can download an app on their phone to fit their lifestyle. There are over 1 million apps on Google Play, and it's a similar number on the Apple Store. And most apps are available to anyone under the age of 18.
Minors currently navigate the expansive digital world completely without guardrails.
Senate Bill 2420, the App Store Accountability Act, aims to change the way minors download apps. The bill requires app stores to verify a user's age and obtain a parent's consent. If they deny consent, the app developer must restrict further access to their app. Kareem Ghanem, Director of Public Policy at Google, says this bill has moved quickly without enough attention to the harms it could create.
What that's resulted in is one of the most extreme age verification regimes that we've seen thus far. It puts that data at risk for being captured by hackers and thieves. And most importantly, it does absolutely nothing to keep kids and teens safer online.
Coming up, push it or keep it. Philadelphia's famous play up for a vote in Minneapolis. We look at what else NFL owners have agreed to in their off-season meetings. The controversial tush push, also known as the brotherly shove, perfected by the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, will find out its fate tomorrow. NFL owners are meeting in Minneapolis today and tomorrow and will vote on several items. Critics of the play say it isn't a football move and it's more like a rugby play. Supporters say the vote is just an attempt to punish the Eagles, who are just better at it than the rest of the league. Commissioner Roger Goodell believed to be behind the ban attempt. For what it's worth, President Donald Trump says the play should be kept. Also on the agenda, owners have agreed to allow NFL players to be eligible to play flag football in the 2028 Olympics. That's going to do it for us for this edition of the National News Desk. We invite you to join us again this evening as we get more reaction from both sides of the aisle on Capitol Hill as one of their own is arrested for a clash against ICE agents. I'm Dee Dee Gatton. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tonight at 10.